Hello and welcome to English 190 Research and Persuasion. In this first lecture video, I'm going to go over sort of a brief overview of the course. We'll talk a little bit about the final project because it's important to know what you're working towards, and we're going to start talking about what we're doing in Module 1. If you're watching on a phone, you can scan this QR code to get a copy of this slideshow, and I'll also post a link to it in the announcement. All right, so in this video, we're going to go over these things. We're going to talk about what skills you're going to learn in this course and how those skills can apply in your professional and personal life and pretty much everywhere. We're going to talk about what we're working towards in this class, the final project, which is due in Module 7. Just like you did in English 130, every assignment that you work on in this class is going to build up to that final project. And then I'm going to give you some tips for success in the class, and then we'll launch into Module 1. All right, so let's talk about the skills that you're going to get in English 190. So we're going to learn research. So you've probably done a little bit of research, maybe in high school classes or in your own work, in your own life, but we're going to dig into really looking at credible evidence and how to kind of tell good from bad research, biased and non-biased, and how to think about diverse viewpoints in your research as being beneficial to your argument. We're going to talk about persuasion, so how to make your case, right? How to argue your point using that evidence and like expert research to prove your point. We're going to talk about structure and organization in your writing so that when you do make those points and use that evidence, it's done in a way that your readers can clearly understand. We're going to talk, like I said, about diverse viewpoints and how those play into your argument and make it stronger. And we're going to talk about how you can achieve credibility as a narrator or writer or persuader, because that is part of what it takes to be persuasive is to be credible. So how are we going to use these skills, argument, research, persuasion, in the real world? You can probably think of some examples right now, but I'll just kind of name a few right now. If you're ever in a job interview, you're going to need to convince people that you should be hired, right? How are you going to do that? If you've ever argued with someone online on social media, you want to make your case. Even arguing with a spouse or a friend or a child, sometimes you need to get your point across and you want to convince them of something. And while you might not use, evidence-based research on your kids, you do need to make a solid case and be convincing, right? And so all of these skills that you're learning in this class are really applicable across the board. You might need to convince a teacher to give your kid an extra chance at an assignment, or you might need to try to convince your electric company to accept your bill late. I mean, there are millions and millions of reasons why you would want to be able to argue well and be convincing. So these skills are going to be really relevant for you, no matter what career you're in or what you're looking for. All right, so let's take a couple minutes and look at your project. This is what we're working towards in this class. And so I always tell students, if you don't look at the final project now, then as you do the assignments throughout this course, it's going to be like trying to put a jigsaw puzzle together without ever seeing the picture on the box, right? If you don't know what it's supposed to look like at the end, how are you going to do well on those pieces? So it's really important that you stop now and take a look at that project. So let me just pull it up. If we go to the course homepage here and go to learning modules, and go to the assignment information module and then scroll down to the project guidelines and rubric. You're probably familiar with this setup. Most of you, I'm assuming, took one English 130, which is very similar in terms of the structure here. So this is what you're going to be working on in this class. This essentially is a persuasive research paper. There's going to be two parts. The first part is going to be something that you actually put together in Module 3, and that's going to be a list of sources and explanations about them. If you've ever heard of an annotated bibliography, that's sort of what this is. In Module 7, when you turn in your final project, you'll be revising that Module 3 assignment. So you'll already have it done, you'll just need to revise it. So that will take away a lot of the work that you need to do in Module 7. And then you'll be turning in the final draft of your persuasive essay, which again, you're going to write a draft of it before Module 7, so none of this will be from scratch that week. You'll really just be refining and revising by that point. So your persuasive essay will need to have citations, either MLA or APA format. That is up to you. You'll have to have at least one source from the project resources document and at least two sources that you find on your own. And you will have to convince your audience to take a stance on an issue or to agree with you, whatever your position is on the topic of your choice. So that is what we're working towards in the course. Some tips for you on how you can be successful in this course. So number one, show up. That might sound kind of weird in an online course where we don't actually have a class time, but sometimes students in online courses think they can log in once a week and do the assignment and that's it. You need to come into this course multiple times in a week. You need to read every announcement that I post, watch all the videos. I'll try not to bombard you with things, but the things that I post are important. They are things that I know students have struggled with in the past and that I know that you need some reinforcement on. And you need to actually do the work. You need to not just do the graded assignments, but you need to read through everything in the module, all the readings, all of the resources. You really need to spend time on those things so that you can understand and learn. You have to think critically in this class. That's what writing is. Writing is thinking critically on paper or on a screen. So that means you cannot let AI write this for you. And I'll tell you, there are some of you are going to be really tempted to do that. But when you write something like this with AI really struggles with having an opinion because it doesn't have an opinion. It doesn't have a brain, right? It's really just searching through, tons and tons and tons of data. So when students turn in papers like this and they're written by AI, it's usually pretty easy for me to tell that because it doesn't demonstrate critical thinking. And that is really what you're learning in this class. Notice I said earlier in this video that your skills that you're learning here are argument and persuasion. I didn't talk about grammar. I didn't really talk about writing structure too much other than just organizing your argument and your thoughts. That's because I'm not interested in that so much in this course. If you want to use a tool like Grammarly to help you with grammar, to help you with sentence structure, that's fine. Those things are really kind of far down on the grading list for this class. We're really focusing on your thought process and your ability to argue and be convincing and your research skills. And so those are things that you need to do, right? If you use AI to try to write for you, you're not going to do well in the class and you're not going to learn anything. And the whole point of this class, for which you or someone is paying a lot of money to take, you want to walk away with skills, right? And so letting AI do something for you does not give you any of those skills. It is a waste of money and time. And when you go to a job interview down the road, you won't have the skills that you need to be convincing. So that's my soapbox on that. And now we'll move on. Oh, focus on the process. And this is really important. So many times students are just worried about the grade. Just write the paper, get the grade, do the assignment and get the grade. But writing is a process. This is what I want you to focus on. This is why every assignment that you complete in this class is a building block for the final project. It is all one big process. When you turn in an assignment and you get feedback on that assignment, it is your responsibility in this class to read through that feedback or listen. Sometimes it'll be audio or video feedback to really absorb that feedback and then use it, apply it to the next assignment, to your draft, and to your revision, and to your final project. So don't just look at the grade and then move on, right? Really, really look at the feedback, really listen to it and pay attention to it and try to apply it going forward. If you have questions about that feedback, you can always reach out to me and I'll be happy to meet with you or explain things in more detail. In your Module 1 resources page, getting started with research, the very first link you're going to find here is the project resources document. This is really important. You're going to need to use this. So you're going to open that document and you're going to scroll down here. Make sure you read through the steps. You're going to see these are the categories available to you for this research project. So you're going to choose one of these categories. one that's most interesting to you. So here's a pro tip for you when it comes to writing. Write what you know and write what you're interested in. So it will be much more fun and interesting for you to research these topics if you care about them. And if you already have a little bit of knowledge on a topic, it's going to be that much easier for you to form an argument and a topic and things like that. So choose something that you're interested in and something ideally that you have a little bit of knowledge about. So choose an article or I'm sorry, a category that's interesting to you. So let's say I'll choose one about adjunct professors. When I click on the category, it's going to open an article. So you need to read through the article. This is going to give you some context for the category and the topic. And as you read through this article, start thinking about potential issues or questions that come out of this that you might want to answer. So, for example, as I'm reading through this article about adjuncts, I might think, maybe I could spend some time answering a question about whether adjuncts should be paid higher wages, or maybe whether adjuncts should be offered health insurance, or maybe we should change the whole way that adjuncts are hired in higher ed and make them part-time employees instead. Okay, so I can think about these things as I'm reading the article. And then what you're going to do is develop a research question. So we'll go back to our document here. The citations, by the way, for these articles are right here. So when you need those, you can grab them and copy and paste them right from here. So take a look at the example here. Student chose higher education, looked at the art-related articles for that. You can look through all the articles in the category to decide, where you think you want to go with this. And then you choose narrow it down to one article. And then as you're rolling through the article, you're going to choose your topic, right? Your idea for this paper. Then you're going to think of a question. Let me think of some topic ideas and research questions that might be, they must be debatable. So remember that. It has to have two sides. You can't say, for example, is education good for you? Because we all know that education is good, right? That's not really something debatable. So it needs to have two distinct sides. And then you're going to narrow it down until you get one debatable question or topic that you want to explore for this paper throughout this class. That's going to be your topic. That's going to be your research question and the focus of your paper for the whole 8 weeks. So make sure it's something that you really want to learn about. If you start doing research in later weeks and you decide it's not a good topic or you need to tweak it, so tweaking is okay. Totally changing your topic, please talk to me after probably week 2. That's going to be nearly impossible. So if in like week 1 or 2 you want to change your mind, you can come back, you can send me an email, we can chat about that. But after that, you're going to have to stick with it. Otherwise, you'll end up redoing it. A lot of work at the end, which you don't want to do. So that is the gist of Module 1. There's also a discussion where you'll start talking a little bit about your experiences with research and persuasion and get to know each other as we do in every class. And that is how we're going to start working towards our final project. If you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to reach out via email. I will be happy to help you more. Like I said, you can get a copy of this slideshow. It will be linked in the announcement. And I'm really excited to see what kinds of topics you come up with and where your research goes.